So I'm going to talk a little bit about my major, Management Science and Engineering, or MS&E, because it's a little bit out there. It's not a super typical major, but it actually is a pretty typical major for Stanford because we have a lot of these Stanford-specific interdisciplinary majors. It combines a lot of different things, business, economics, public policy, engineering, and we basically don't have a business undergraduate major at Stanford, so this would be the closest equivalent. So, I take things like statistics, data science, optimization, I take different science classes, I take accounting, I take different economics classes, and then the upper division classes are cool classes that have kind of like applications in business and entrepreneurship. So I'm taking a class next quarter called Innovation, Creativity, and Change, which sounds super, super cool. We have classes on like how to build a startup, or classes where you get in teams and kind of simulate as if you were beginning a startup, the whole design process, communication process, like building different teams for your startup, which is super cool. Yeah, so we have really, really cool classes, and they all kind of help build your technical skills because it's still in the engineering school, but then most of them kind of have specific business or engineering applications, which is super cool. So you're kind of getting a well-rounded engineering business experience. I want to talk a little bit about the classes that you can take in high school that may help you become an MS&E major. So I just want to preface this by saying that you can come into Stanford as like no major, so you just indicate what you're interested in when you apply to Stanford, but you don't actually have to major in what you're interested in, and you actually don't have to declare until the end of your sophomore year. So definitely no stress there, and there's a lot of time to explore different majors. Your whole freshman year and your whole sophomore year, you can just explore and take a bunch of different types of classes. So you definitely have a lot of time to explore, so no stress there. So in terms of what you should take in high school, I didn't really take any like business specific classes. I would say I had a pretty clear interest in engineering. I took 13 AP classes actually, and those included ones in math and science. So I took AP Calculus, AB and BC, I took AP Chemistry, and I took AP Physics as well. We didn't have AP Bio at my school, but I think the interest in math and science was definitely there. But definitely any math and science AP classes would prepare you well to be an MS&E major, as well as just any major in the engineering school. Yeah, so you can kind of explore a lot, and I think that MS&E honestly is one of those majors that you kind of just fall into. So I was taking classes in a bunch of different areas and just had no idea what I wanted to do, and after talking to some upperclassmen and my academic advisor and just taking random classes, I just kind of figured out that MS&E might be the major for me because it combined a lot of things that I liked and also would allow me to continue to explore my interests while still working towards a degree. So I really like interdisciplinary majors at Stanford because, I didn't want to just study computer science or just study economics or just study another type of hard engineering. I wanted the opportunity to take classes in all of those areas and come out of Stanford with a major that mixed a lot of different types of skills. So that was super cool. So in terms of, declaring to be an MS&E major, you can just be one. Like, there's no cap on the majors, so anyone can be an MS&E major, and you don't have to have specific grades in any sort of classes. The only thing that you have to do is just find an advisor in the department, which is super easy to do. You just basically cold email a bunch of people that are listed as advisors, and then you just send the head of the department your major, intended semester that you the semester that you intend to graduate, why you want to be MS&E, and then your concentration. So I'm currently in organizations, technology, and policy concentration. So we focus a little bit more on entrepreneurship, the intersection of technology and business. We also have a finance track, and then also in operations and analytics tracks. And the operations and analytics track is a little bit more math, statistics, optimization based. So that's my current track. That's really all you have to do. There's no requirements. Yeah, and it's not capped, so anyone can be an MS&E major. So definitely you should be one if you go to Stanford. And MS&E, I believe, is the third or fourth most popular major at Stanford. I think number 1 is computer science, 2 is human biology, and then 3 is another interdisciplinary major called symbolic systems, and then I think we're about equal with symbolic systems or SymSys, and I believe there's about 80 to 90 people per grade in that major, and we only have like 2,000 students per grade. So yeah, it's like a decently sized major, and I feel like there's a good proportion of, men and women, which is really nice too. And in terms of extracurriculars that would prepare you well for MS&E, anything related to business or math and science would honestly be helpful. So I was in Math National Honor Society, I was in National Science Honor Society, I competed in math academic competitions. And then I also did a senior service project, which helped enhance my business skills because I was, you know, working with the company by myself to kind of like build this class and this program. And also like any classes or projects that allow you to collaborate on teams would be super helpful because, you know, a big part of business is collaborating with other people, working with others, coming up with ideas. All of that would be great. Honestly, even the dance teams that I did growing up really helped me because I was always working on a team with other people, and that helped me to be successful as an MS&E major because a lot of upper level classes we have, you know, group projects and things like that that rely on everybody's critical thinking skills. So there's a lot of different career paths you can go into with MS&E. Most popular are anything in finance, so, you know, financial analyst, investment banker, things related to business, so like a business analyst, a product manager, working at a startup. Also anything related to tech analytics is really popular, so people, you know, can go into tech as a tech analyst, maybe like a content strategist or a business analyst, data scientist at different tech companies. But also people go to law school, we have people that are academics that go into research, people become politicians, start their own companies. And another thing that's really popular is becoming a management consultant, which is actually what I'm gonna do after graduating. So consulting is a field where you basically are a consultant at a firm, that's a consulting firm that other companies hire to help solve their business problems. So as a consultant, you're on a team for a few months at a time, and while you're on that team, you help whatever client that team is assigned to solve whatever business problems they're going through. So whether that be they want to grow their company, they need a new marketing strategy, they need help with pricing, I don't know, want to change the structure of their business, all those things are what consultants do. And I really love it because you're able to solve a variety of different problems and in a bunch of different industries because you change cases every few months, which is super cool. So it's kind of like you get to continue learning. And I still don't really know what I want to do, so I think this will be a great opportunity for me to, you know, kind of explore different industries while still expanding my skills. You get to enhance your qualitative skills, doing market research, giving presentations, talking to clients, as well as your quantitative skills, you know, doing data analytics, building optimization tools, building models in Excel. So you definitely just gain a lot of skills super quickly and get to learn about a lot of different industries. So you're kind of just building your skill set, preparing you to go into literally any field that you want after. So I got into consulting because I actually interned at the Boston Consulting Group in their Dallas office last summer after my sophomore year at Stanford, and BCG is one of the big 3 consulting firms. So I applied as a sophomore through a diversity program for Black, Latinx, and Native American students. So usually this internship is for juniors, so juniors heading into their senior year, but through that program I applied as a sophomore. So I just applied, and we actually hold recruiting events at Stanford for BCG. So the benefit of going to a really good school like Stanford or, you know, any of the Ivies, so top companies will go there specifically to recruit. So during the first week of school, we had a bunch of events with BCG that I attended, and I actually contacted some people at Stanford that had interned at BCG the previous summer, and they told me who the recruiting director was and kind of who were the people that I should speak to at these events. So at those events, I made sure to network and talk to those people specifically, and I asked for their email. And after all these events, after you meet people, after you network with people, you always want to follow up, give a little thank you email, and I asked if I could jump on a call with them to talk more about the company. So I talked to 2 recruiting directors from BCG Dallas about the position, why I was really interested in consulting and why I really wanted to be at the company, and they basically helped push me to a first round interview. So networking is super important in terms of consulting, and again, being at Stanford is super great because they come to you and they want to talk to you and they're excited about people from Stanford coming to work at their company. After I got my first round interview was just a behavioral interview. So I did my behavioral interview, and I prepared for that by going to Beam, which is the career center at Stanford, and they helped me prepare for that by kind of helping me prepare some answers for some of the questions. And then after that, I got invited to do a final round interview. So consulting interviews have kind of a technical interview version of like the tech interview for working at a tech company. We have to answer, you know, like coding questions. For consulting, that technical interview is called the case interview. So you're basically asked to solve some sort of business case problem on the spot, usually in about 30 minutes to an hour. You're kind of guided through different questions. So I think the best way to prepare for case interviews is to do actual cases and to practice them. So there's a lot of different resources that you can use. At Stanford, the Career Center Bean gives us access to this website called Management Consulted, which has a lot of different practice cases, has videos of people doing cases, and I also practice case interviews with people at my school, my friends' siblings that had applied and been successful in getting consulting internships. Yeah, so I kind of just went through that process kind of by myself, just like, you know, preparing with friends. And I think the benefit of Stanford is it's a really, really collaborative culture. And we have a variety of pre-professional organizations. I'm actually a member of Stanford Pre-Business Association this year, and we do interview workshops, LinkedIn workshops, and resume workshops to help with our members' professional development and help them land their dream internship. So I wasn't a part of that whenever I was recruiting, but it would have been super, super helpful because this year I helped a lot of people go through recruiting. And so I definitely would say that leaning on the Stanford network is super great, and going to a school like Stanford is awesome because everyone goes through recruiting every year, and so it's kind of nice to have this huge community of supporters and people that are going through recruiting with you. So that's super great. So I feel like in terms of to make your resume and things stand out, I think what's really important is to highlight experiences that are relevant to the job. So I had a specific consulting resume where I had my research and data analytics experiences in a separate category. So I basically divided my experiences into two categories. One was things relating to research and data analytics, and then my second category in my experiences section of my resume was just basically everything else. Little pro tip, you can definitely break up your resume in your experiences section if you want to like categorize certain things and have certain things at the top. So if you have two experiences that are not necessarily next to each other chronologically, but you feel that are the most important, just make a category for them and then add that under your experiences section, and then you can have it in the exact order that you want. But honestly, the real way to stand out in consulting is to have somebody on inside the firm that is on your side. So going to those networking events at your college and talking to people, calling them after, following up, talking to people in the firm, that's what's the most important, and I honestly think that that's what will land you the job in the end. And it's not that it's impossible to get it without those kind of inside connections, but it really, really helps, and you don't need to have some prior connections to make connections. I made them during recruiting season, and I was still successful. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing about my essays, about my major at Stanford, about consulting. So I would, best of luck to all of you on all your college applications, and thank you all so much for listening, and I hope that that was helpful.